Alright, so I've been working to get SA22C's one-button controls added to my prop file for ProffieOS6. So this is going to be a run-through of the new one-button control. With OS6, there's just so many new features that I added to my prop that it actually ended up making more sense for me to import the one-button control to my file. It was going to be more challenging to take all the new controls and move them out. So I was talking to SA22C and we agreed that bringing the controls over to my prop file made more sense. So I had to make some changes, so that's why I'm going to run through them all. They are all written up at the top of the prop, but now going forward from OS6, my prop file will support one button. And I was able to get pretty much all of the features in, but in order to do so I had to change some of the controls. The only feature that won't be on one button is the Choreography Mode. Because there was just so much overlap with the controls by only having a single button, it was just going to be way too difficult to get that in and keep everything else. So that's the one feature that didn't make it into one button. If somebody wants to attempt it, they can go after that for their own prop, but it was Choreography Mode really just needs a separate system, and we ran out of buttons by only having the single button. But so everything else I was able to get in. So I'm going to run through the controls. So obviously all the gestures and stuff. So while your Saber's off, to turn on your Saber, other than gesture ignition, is just going to be click your button. So you only obviously have one button. I'm used to two button, so I'm going to keep saying power button, but you're just going to click your power button. That'll ignite your Saber. To turn your Saber off, you're actually going to hold that button, and that'll turn your Saber off. Now while your Saber's off, if you want to play your tracks, I've changed the control up. So I've added the track player. So there's going to be two methods for tracks. If you just want to play your default track, which is for that specific preset, you're just going to have your Saber pointing up and you're going to do a double click. That's going to play the default track only. And it'll play one time and then stop, or you can stop it again with a double click. Now, if you want to use the track player lets you play any track or all tracks in your font. So whatever tracks are in your current preset, they do have to be set up on the SD as part of the font, not as the root of your SD card. But you can actually use Track Player now. Track Player, when you go into it, is going to let you select a track using turning right to go forward, turn left to go back, and you can go through all the tracks in the font. And then you actually get 4 playback methods as well. So I'm going to demo it in a minute, but if you just want to pick a track by rotating right or left and play it one time, you're just going to rotate right or left, get to the track you want, click the power button one time, it'll play once and you're done. If you want to loop that track, you're going to rotate to the track you want, you're going to hold the power button and you're going to turn your hilt left, and it'll say loop. Some tracks kind of, the sound is over it, it's a little too loud, but it will loop that track continuously until you stop it with the double click of the button. If you want to play all your tracks in order, that's rotate. What you'll do is you'll pick a track as the starting point, you'll hold the power button and you'll turn right, and that will rotate all the tracks, and it will continuously go sequentially through all tracks in that font and back around until you stop it. And then the final one is random. So you're going to, for random, you're actually just going to hold the power button and then it'll say random and it will play the track you've selected, and then it will randomly keep picking tracks until you stop it. So Track Player will play continuously until you stop it, except obviously for the play once. So we're going to go into Track Player. So to go into Track Player, versus having your Saber straight up, you're just going to have it parallel or down, and you're going to do the double click. It's always going to play your default track. So your default track is always the start point, but if I rotate right or left, I'm going to be able to go through all of them. And then if you find the track you want, you just click once. You'll hear a little beep, and it's going to play this track one time. Now, some of these tracks are so long, I'm not going to let them all play through. To stop at any time is a double click. All right, now we're going to go back into Track Player. I'm going to do the loop. So again, always default track. And then if you get to a track you want, and you want to loop it, which just means play this same track over and over again, you're going to hold the power button and you're going to rotate left. And it'll it'll say loop, it'll have a little beep, and now this track is locked in to just continuously loop until I stop it. And again, a double click is to stop. Alright, and then we've got rotate, so we'll go in another time. Now you can do rotate from your default track or from any track you want. So if we want to do it from just the default, which is where it starts, you're going to hold the power button this time and we're going to turn right.
Rotate.
And now it's going to rotate, so it's going to start with this track, then it's going to go to the next track, the next track, the next track, and keep playing through all your tracks that are in this font, again, until you stop it. And then the final one is random, so we'll go into random. And let's go backwards this time. And if you want to just start with this track, but randomly play other tracks, you're just going to hold the button until it says random.
Random.
And now it will play that track and then randomly keep selecting tracks until you stop it. So that's the track player. So track player is a double click while your saber is parallel or down. If you only want to play your default track just a single time, just have the saber pointing up and you'll double click it. Up next is changing your presets. So while you're off, to change presets, I changed the controls a little bit because I wanted to add the preset menu system. So it's just a long click. So long click on any saber is basically you're going to hold the button for a second and let it go, roughly. So we're going to do a long click now. If my saber is parallel or up and I do a long click, it's going to go to the next preset. If I want to go back a preset, you're just going to point down. So we're going to go forward first. So, and then you would just click, you can use the long click to keep going forward. If I want to go back to my first track, I'll just point down and do it. Or my first preset, so now I'm back at my first preset. Now if you want to actually go in and use the new preset menu, and the preset menu lets you basically dial through all your presets. So if you have a lot of presets, clicking that button or doing that long click on it multiple times gets kind of challenging. So the preset menu actually lets you go in and then you just use a right or left turn to select the preset you want. And then once you get to the preset you want, you're just going to click the button. So going into the preset menu is going to be a triple click on power, and this is a new control. So it's
select preset.
It's going to say select preset, and now I can go forward. Or you can also go back. And then when you get to the one you want, we're just going to click the button. And now I'm back at my my preset that I wanted to do. Let's see, I think I've got a couple more controls. Oh yes, the volume menu is the same to enter it as it was in SA22C's file, but the control is now also a dial. So to go into it, you're going to hold the power button and clash while off. You'll go into the volume menu, but now you can use the dial. So turning right will raise the volume to the maximum setting, and then turning left will lower it, and then to get out of it, you're going to click the button. So we'll hold.
Edit volume.
So now I'm in edit volume. I can lower my volume. Or I can raise it.
Maximum volume.
Up to maximum, and then you just click the button to save it.
Exit.
Now the sounds depend. So there is some separate volume menu sounds that you can have active if you have them in your font. It's VM begin, VM end. If you don't have those sounds in the font, it is going to use the menu prompts, which are basically volume menu and exit. So the sounds, if you don't like the sounds, you can always change those in your font. And then what do we got? Oh, battery level. So battery level, I changed the control for this as well. So battery level now, and there's two new options. There's the Fett263 say battery volts, which will say your battery level in volts, and the Fett263 say battery percent, which will say your battery level as a percent. You do have to have the sound files related to that, but they should be in the common folder from the prompts that were provided on Frederick's site that Brian Nosloppy had created. So it's going to be a triple click and hold. So triple click and hold basically means you're going to do 2 quick clicks and then hold on the third, and it'll do your battery level.
Battery level 93%.
So that I have the say battery level percent active. So it was going to do, and the effect, you have to have the effect set up in your blade style in order to show the effect. If you didn't have the blade style and you have the say battery level volts or percent, it would say it, but you wouldn't get a visual. So that's while your saber's off. That should be all the controls. Oh no, gesture sleep. I'm reading these, if you couldn't tell, because I don't use one button that often, so I'm still learning it. Almost all my sabers are 2-button, including this one. I just set this one up so I can set it up for 1 button for testing. But so gesture sleep. So you have all your gesture ignitions. So I've got swing on active. If you want to turn the gesture ignitions off, there's a new feature called gesture sleep. In order to use it, you're basically going to hold the power button and do a twist. And the twist is a quick back and forth rotation, kind of like revving a motorcycle. So
Gestures off.
So it'll say gestures off, and what that does is it puts all the gesture ignitions to sleep. You can still turn your saber on just with the power button, but this way you don't have to, if you take the blade out and you're carrying it on your hilt with the power, you don't want it igniting. If you just want to, be able to carry it around without having it igniting, but you don't want to put the kill key or kill switch, you can deactivate gestures now. And then to reactivate gestures, so right now it's off, you're just going to hold that power button again and twist.
Gestures on.
Gestures are now on, and now I've got my swing on and all my other gestures active again. So gesture sleep is also a new feature. And then now while your saber is on, we'll go through those controls. So I'm going to ignite. So first and foremost, while your saber's on, if you want to turn it off, I showed it earlier, it's just a long hold on the power button. That'll retract. If you want to do clash, that's obviously just hit your saber. If you want to do lockup, you're going to hold the power button and clash. I'm used to battle mode, so I always do the pull away movement. And then I did change drag. So drag used to be a downward hold button in clash, but if you actually were battling and you wanted to do a low block, you don't want drag activating. So now it's going to be a hold the button and stab downward. So for drag and any stab effect, you just want the tip to be what makes the impact, because that creates that linear movement for stab. So clash would, if you hit on the sides anywhere, it gives the lateral movement, which creates clash effect. If you want a stab effect, you just want the impact to be at the tip. So you're going to hold your power button and stab down, and that'll give you your drag. And then let go of the button, and then melt is the same way, so it's going to be a parallel or up stab. So hold the button and you get your melt effect, and this has the intensity. So the longer I leave it, it turns into a flame. And then lightning block is a double click and hold power. So you're going to click once, and then on the second click you're going to hold it, and that'll do your lightning block. And let's see what else. Oh, blast effects is just a click on the button. So you just click the button, that'll do your blast. There is also multi-blast. So if you don't want to have to keep clicking that button, so say you were deflecting a lot of blaster bolts, it gets annoying to keep having to click that button. So what you're going to do is you can actually hold the power button and do a swing. It will block a blast, but then you go into multi-blast mode, and that means every swing will then block a blast until you turn it off. So it'll be hold the power button and swing, and now every swing will deflect a blast until you get out of the mode, which you can get out of the mode by holding the power button and swinging again. And now my swing goes back to normal. Or if you did a clash, or if you did another blast effect with the button, it actually deactivates multi-blast. So multi-blast, you go into it holding aux and swing, or power and swing, and that will go into it. Every swing blocks a blaster bolt. And then if you want to get out of it, you can either do a clash, you can do a lockup, you can do another blast with the button, or you can hold the blast button and swing. All of those will get you out of multi-blast mode. And let's see, what else do we do? Oh, so another new control is the force quote player. So force effect and quote actually work together now. And what it's going to do is if you hold your, you're going to do a long click on your power button while on, it will do either the force or the quote if you're parallel or up. If you want to toggle, so say you're in force and you want to switch to quote, you'll point down, do a long click, it will play the opposite, and then you're in that mode. So I think, actually I've been playing with this, let's see what this one's in. So right now it's in force mode, so that means every time I do a long click while I'm parallel or up, it's going to play a force effect. If I want to toggle it over to quote mode, I'm going to point down and do it. Oops.
Very good friend of mine told me to go out, find my place in the galaxy.
So now I'm in quote mode, and the down has actually got to be almost vertical. I made it tighter just so that you can still do force effects with your saber pointing slightly down. as well as quotes. So now it toggled to quote mode. So now every time I do it, it's going to play a quote. Now quotes will play sequentially, so you can actually set them up in order in your font.
Believe I can't keep hiding from the Empire, so I don't really have a choice. Persistence and the Force is my ally.
And it'll keep going through all your quotes. It'll go sequentially, and then it'll loop back around. Now if you want to switch back to force effect again, you're going to point down, and you're going to hold that button for a second. And now I'm back in force mode. So your force effects and quotes are in the same control, and you just toggle them by pointing your saber down and doing it, and then lets you do it. And there is a define if you wanted to have quotes be the default. Normally force would be the default effect, and you toggle it by pointing down and doing the long click. And then I did add the multi-phase control to one button, so it's the same as the two buttons. So multi-phase lets you jump presets. So the idea behind it is kind of like in the Legends books, some of the sabers, the Jedi have 2 crystals or more. That's where the multi comes in. And by just turning your hilt a certain way, you actually realign those crystals. It would change the blade color, it could change the hum, it would change the blade length in some of them. So multi-phase lets you do that, but it does it using presets. So you can go forward a preset or back a preset. And actually for OS6, I've actually improved it. We don't get that font wave playing anymore because that kind of broke up the effect. And we also don't get a reignite. We get a really quick switch of the preset using some of the new features. So in order to use multi-phase, if your saber's parallel or up, you're going to go forward a preset. You're just going to hold the power button and do the twist. And you'll see it's a super quick switch to the next preset. And then if I want to go back a preset, I'm actually just going to point down and do the same, hold button and twist. Oops. So, and you want it pretty close to down. Again, I gave a little more space for the normal movement to go forward. But so you can do really quick preset changes using multi-phase. Now that is a define, but you're going to hold that power button and do the twist. And let's see. Oh, that was another feature. Let me turn the saber off. So I added the ability to stop your tracks while the saber's on. Now we can't start tracks while the saber's turned on. There just wasn't enough controls to keep it separate from everything. But say I'm just going to start I'll just start my default track while the saber's off. I'm pointing up, double click. So my track is on, I'll ignite. While the track is playing and your saber's on, if you do a double click, it'll stop the track. It can only stop a track that's playing. If the track isn't playing, that obviously doesn't work. Double click actually just does blast. But if you have a track playing and you happen to want to stop it without turning the saber off, just do a double click. And it will stop the track. And that's a new control that was added, and it's just because we have track player now, and because track player can loop, rotate, and random, you might have a lot of tracks playing and eventually want to stop them. You don't have to turn the saber off. You'll just do a double click and it'll actually just stop the track player. And then the last piece is going to be color change. So color change in my prop is going to be dependent upon the style itself. So each preset will actually act a little differently if you set them up differently. Because we introduced edit mode, color change, so the old color wheel, the rotate colors X, the color change styles, they actually work very differently from edit colors, which is part of edit mode. They're actually 2 different mechanisms, and because of that, they don't necessarily work well together. You can't really use the color change capabilities if you have a style built for edit mode. You actually get more flexibility with a style built for edit mode because instead of just changing one color, you can actually change all the effect colors. But the trade-off is we're gonna change how color change mode works. So if you have a style that's built for edit colors, it's actually going to jump into the color list, which allows you to choose from 27 preset colors. If you have the say color define enabled, it actually say the color's name as you do it. If you don't want that, you can actually just leave it. It'll just play the normal color change sound. So there's a lot of options, but these styles are all set up for edit colors. So when I go into color change mode, it's going to be the color list. If you have the old styles, or if you don't have any color change or color editing, you're going to go into the old method of color wheel. And it's really up to you how you want that to happen. It's controlled by the style, but the controls will act a little differently dependent upon that style. So for these, it's going to be the color list, but it's the same mechanism. To go into color change is just going to be 4 clicks while the saber is parallel or down. If you point it up and you have the power save feature active, it'll do power save. This doesn't have that right now. But so 4 quick clicks will go into color change. It's going to play your color change noise. And then like I said, this one's going to go into color list with the spoken colors. Oops, nope. 4 clicks is tricky. There we go. So now I'm in color change mode. Now when I rotate,
Red, orange, red, dark orange, orange, gold, yellow, green, yellow.
and you go through all the 27 colors of color list. I'm going to actually go back through the red. It's playing the color. Oh, that's right. I purposely added you can have the sound in place of the color name if you want. So that's what this is. So that's white. Let's go to red. I said I was setting that up to test. It will also say the colors when you go backwards. This was just set up to test what that sound was going to be like. But then when you're in color list, to save it, you just click the power button. And it'll reload. So there is a quick blip while it's reloading. That's because of how color editing actually writes. So you get a quick blip of your color change there. Now if you have a style set up for the color change, a single click, with the 4 clicks will actually just jump to the next color. If you have the color wheel, you go into the color wheel, you rotate to the color you want, and you do the click and it'll save it. So again, but color change is going to be very dependent upon your styles now in OS 6 because we have so many more methods. Let's see. And then, battle mode. So, battle mode, and some of this is controlled by how you set up your defines, but if your Saber's on and you want to go into battle mode, you're just going to triple click and hold the power button. So that's going to be 2 quick clicks and then hold on the third. And that will, depending upon what sounds you have, it'll say either entering battle mode, or it'll play an effect if you want. That's all dependent upon your font. But so we're going to do 2 quick clicks, hold power, and that will go into battle mode.
Battle mode.
So now I'm in battle mode. And battle mode basically just changes, so you don't need the buttons for lockup and melt and drag. And then there's actually battle mode 2.0 has a bunch of other new features. But so now if I just clash, I'll get my lockup. And then there is the new battle mode 2.0. You can actually set your clash detect level so that later clashes will still do clash effects. You're going to want to play with that level. For me, 7 or 8 is a good number. And what that means is it's actually reading how hard the Saber gets hit. And if you're below that level, even in battle mode, it'll still do a clash effect. If you go above that level, it tries to do lockup, but if you do a quick pull away, you're still going to get the battle mode clash. So, like that, if you do a quick hit and pull away and it's harder, it'll still do it the same way. But if you do like lighter taps, you're just going to get clash effect. And that's set by the clash detect number, which is a new define, and that's part of battle mode 2.0. And then obviously you get your melt now. So there's no button involved. Drag is again a downward stab. But so battle mode just means you don't have to worry about the button, it's actually going to react. And then another part of battle mode 2.0 is multi-blast is now automatic if you want it. So while in battle mode, if you do you got to do the first blast with the button because otherwise we don't know what you're trying to do. So normally battle mode, if you do a blast in battle mode and then you swing within 2 seconds, it'll actually jump into multi-blast mode. And then every swing will actually keep doing blaster deflects until you clash or lock up or press that power button again. So I'm going to do a regular blast. But then if I swing within 2 seconds, now I don't need to worry about the button until I do a clash, or if you hit the button, or if you get out of battle mode. So battle mode jumps into multi-blast automatically if you do a blast effect with the button once and then swing within 2 seconds. And then it'll stay active in multi-blast. So if you think about it this way, you're not worried about your buttons. You can actually just do one blast. You could do a bunch of blaster deflects, and then somebody comes at you with Saber, you go to block it, you get into lockup, and then you pull away, and then you're back into normal swings where you don't have to worry about the blast. So the idea of battle mode is just to kind of make it more immersive, not have you worrying about what button you're pressing and doing all that stuff. So that's all possible now. And then let's see. So let's turn off. I'm going to hold power, and then the last piece of the puzzle is edit mode. So I was able to get edit mode added to one button. It took a little bit of work, but now edit mode is going to be available on one button, which I know is what everybody wanted. To go into edit mode, so let's talk about the controls. Edit mode is a menu system. To go forward through the menus or to confirm when prompted, you're going to turn right, which is a clockwise turn. To go backwards or to cancel something if prompted is a left turn, which is counterclockwise. To make a selection or to save or to confirm, you're going to click the button, quick click, one click. And then this is where it gets a little trickier. To cancel or to revert or to go back is a long click where you're going to hold it for a second and let go. And then the final thing is to exit the menu, or if you're in one of the submenus, because there's multiple submenus where you can actually, I think there's 4 layers deep in some cases. If you want to just jump back to the top level menu, you're just going to hold that button until it goes back up to the menu. So those are the controls. The actual menus, there'll be a separate video on all the individual menus. This video is already running long. But to go into edit mode and use the controls for edit mode, you're just going to, while your Saber's off, your Saber has to be set up for edit mode. You have to have the menu enabled, obviously, but you're just going to hold that button until it ignites and says edit mode.
Edit mode.
And now I'm in edit mode.
Edit style. Edit color. Edit font. Edit color.
And then to select, if you want to go into, say, edit color, you're going to just click the power button.
Color menu.
Now I'm in the color menu. You can rotate your options.
Color options.
So if I want to do my color options, again, I would just click the power button.
Select effect. Base color. Alt color. Blast color. Flash color.
Alright, and then if you get to the one you want, so we'll go
Blast
back.
color. Alt color. Base color.
You just
Swing
click.
color.
Oops.
Retraction color.
Went too far.
Ignition color. Pre-on color. Lightning block color.
Too far.
Pre-on color. Ignition color. Retraction color. Swing color. Base color.
Base color is what I wanted. You click the power button to go in,
Select option.
and then you can choose from
Color list.
color list,
Adjust color hue.
adjust color hue,
Adjust white level.
adjust white level,
Adjust black level.
adjust black level, and that'll be all in the separate video. But the controls are to select something or to go into it, just click. To cancel or get out of it, you just do a long click, so we'll do a long click.
Cancel. Select effect.
So now I've canceled, let's cancel out of that.
Cancel color menu.
So the long click is the cancel or the go back, or if you have something you can also revert. And let's go one more.
Cancel main menu.
Main menu, and then to get out of the edit mode, you're just gonna, you can either rotate
Edit font.
to exit,
Edit track. Edit settings. Copy preset. Delete preset. Exit.
and you can just rotate to exit and click, and then you're out of edit mode and your Saber's back normal running. Or you could do the long hold on the power button while in any menu, and it'll, if you're in a sub menu, it takes you to the main menu. If you're in the main menu and you do hold the button down, it'll actually exit the entire edit mode. But there'll be a separate video on all the different levels of edit mode menu. But so those are the controls for one button. So I was able to get everything in, as I said, except for the choreography mode. There's several new defines in my prop. If you have a one-button Saber, you just have to know the controls. Obviously, you set your config up for one button, and there's no defines that you need. It's now going to do it automatically. But there's certain features that are enabled or disabled with defines. So you're definitely always going to want to read the top of the prop file when you enable it. If you are using my prop, there's now the ability to do one button or two button or technically three button. Yeah, so we're going to go into beta testing pretty soon. But definitely anybody who has a one-button Saber who's been waiting to do some testing, I've got the prop file ready for you, so now it's time to start testing, and then once this is all done, we'll be good to go. So hope you enjoy.